got the DrumDial now. Quick note, I tune these by hand first, and then I check them with a TuneBot and a DrumDial after, just to for my own personal reference. And I like to write this stuff down, so next time, let's say I change one of these heads out, or two, or just the tops, whatever, I can get it back to the same spot. Another thing I noticed was I got them in tune. I used the TuneBot after to tune each lug to the exact same pitch. I was fairly close. And I noticed some of the tensions are a bit different with the DrumDial. But when I go back and check after, it's in perfect tune with itself. So that shows me that the TuneBot is accurate. But the DrumDial, if you tune them all to the exact same tension, it may not be the exact same pitch. Yes, I did check my rims. I've checked my bearing edges. The heads are good. That's just how it is, you know. It's wood and mylar. It's not all 100%. So the DrumDial is good, but just make sure that after, I would mute the bottom head. Sometimes I like to put just a tiny piece of moon gel on the drum to dampen it a bit. And tap each lug and check. If one's a little bit lower, tune it up. If one's a bit too tight, you can often just loosen it. I mean, I'm talking like a 1/16 of an inch. Push on your drum just to break it in, and that's all there is to it. So, starting at the top, my 8-inch tom, the tensions on the top head were between 75 and 78, and the bottom was between 76 and 78. So relatively close, but just a little bit off. I used to try and get them exactly the same, and then I'd wonder why it sounded out of tune. My 10-inch tom was 75 to about 79 on the top and 76 to 78 on the bottom. So on these two drums, I would say, judging by the TuneBot, my top heads have a lower note than the bottom. If you listen to the TuneBot settings, it's 258 and 306 on the bottom, 234 and 258. So even though the tensions are similar, I have dual ply heads on the top and single ply heads on the bottom. So these are going to give a lower note. I often tune my top heads a bit lower than my bottom for a pitch bend. And then on these two drums, I like them fairly close for more of a note, but I'll put moon gel on to not have it ring all day. The tension on my 12 was 74 to 76 on both the top and bottom, so it's quite close. And on the floor tom, I was 72 to 74 on both. And my snare, I was 89 on the top and 80 on the bottom, which is interesting because the TuneBot, I am 310 note on the top and 399 on the bottom. But once again, that's a lot thinner of a head, and I have a dual ply coated on the top. Your coating, your drums, everything's going to change all these. So this is a good reference. I mean, if you're stick between, what are the settings in here? The settings in here actually say your most batters are between, let's say 75, 82, unless they're smaller, 85 and 90. Your 2-ply batters are between, I would say 77 and 83. And your resos are between 70 and 85. So if you're way outside of those ranges when you're checking, you should probably recheck. They're pretty accurate, and it gives you either the top is a bit tighter than the bottom, bottom's a bit tighter than the top, or they're the same. When they're the same, though, I find if they're just a little bit off, you're going to have a weird sound. At least when there's a bit of a pitch bend, it kind of has a sound to it, and if it goes a little out of tune, you don't notice as much. And personally, I like my resonant heads tighter than my batter heads. If you go the other way, it's almost easier to play a little faster, but it doesn't sound as good. So for me, sound is more important. So let's give these things a hit. I should note that on my tom here, I do not have a microphone, so it probably will be quieter. often tune by the note. I like to have the top head in tune with itself, the bottom head, and once I write these down, I'm good. But I find when I change the head, I can still get the same note, whether it's dual ply coded with the TuneBot, the drum dial. It is a bit of playing around, so you can go to your previous settings, and if you notice that there's a weird variance or something, you can just kind of loosen or tighten one. It is a good unit. It does give you a pretty good guess to where you need to be, but always double check after and make sure that you get the lugs in tune with each other, because if you just go by tension, it's not going to work. That goes the same for the Tama one or whatever, that it's the tension screwdriver. Another thing is to get a drill bit drum key, because when you're tuning a big drum set or even a snare drum with 20 lugs, when you can just push it and constantly and have them all out, it takes you no time at all, especially if you're doing a whole kit and you're ripping off heads. I really don't need to waste my time, turning drum keys. And when I'm tightening them, I will go slower and go till I have about 2 millimeters of space, and then I'll go by hand, and then I'll use the key. I don't actually tighten it with the drill. But even still, when you got threads that long and you're going down to here, just next. It saves you. I can do a whole kit in no time, when it used to be, okay, I'm going to set aside some time to get my drums tuned and heads changed. I can do it a lot quicker now. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe underneath, the thumbs up thing. That really helps me out. And if you have any questions or comments, post them below. I'll answer them to the best of my knowledge. That's it for me. Have a good day, and good luck tuning your drums.